Let me ask you something, and I want you to be completely honest with yourself. When was the last time you looked at your career, truly looked at it, and felt genuinely proud of the direction you're heading? Not just satisfied because the bills are getting paid. Not merely content because it feels safe and predictable. But actually proud. Excited about where you're going and who you're becoming through the work you do. For most people, that answer is never. Or it happened so long ago they can barely remember what that feeling was like. Because somewhere along the way, most of us stopped treating our careers as something we intentionally build and started treating them as something that just happens to us. We stopped being the architects of our professional lives and became passengers on someone else's journey. We stopped asking what we want to create and started accepting whatever opportunity randomly presented itself. And I need you to understand something fundamental that will change everything if you truly absorb it. Your career is not something that happens to you. Your career is something you deliberately create. It's something you design with intention. It's something you construct brick by brick, choice by choice, day by day. And if you're not actively building it with purpose, if you're just letting it unfold randomly based on whatever opportunities accidentally fall into your lap, you are wasting the most productive and valuable years of your entire life. Think about the mathematics of this for a moment. If you're like most people, you spend at least 40 hours every single week engaged in your career. That adds up to over 2,000 hours every year. Over the span of a 40-year career, we're talking about 80,000 hours of your finite existence on this planet. 80,000 hours. Let that number sink in for a moment. That is not some trivial amount of time we're discussing here. That represents a massive portion of the one life you get to live. Now, I want you to ask yourself this critical question. If you're going to invest 80,000 hours of your one precious life doing something, shouldn't you be incredibly intentional about what that something is? Shouldn't you be deeply strategic about how you're spending that time and what you're building with those hours? Shouldn't you be laser-focused on ensuring those hours are actually taking you somewhere meaningful instead of just filling space until you can retire? Most people never pause to ask themselves these questions. They stumble into a career almost by complete accident. They accept the first job offer that comes their way. They remain in that position because it becomes familiar and comfortable. They move sideways to another company because an opportunity appeared, not because it aligned with any larger strategic vision they had for their professional life. They spend entire decades simply reacting to circumstances instead of proactively creating their future. And then they wake up at age 50 or 60 and suddenly realize with devastating clarity that they spent their entire working life building someone else's dream instead of their own. I refuse to let that be your story. I refuse to let you look back on your career with deep regret, wondering what might have been possible if you had been more intentional, more focused, more genuinely committed to building something that actually mattered to you personally. Let me start by clarifying what focusing on your career is not, because this is where the majority of people get completely confused and end up heading in entirely the wrong direction. Focusing on your career is absolutely not about becoming a workaholic who sacrifices everything else. It's not about destroying your health, your relationships, or your mental well-being in service of some corporate job that wouldn't hesitate to replace you within a week if you left tomorrow. It's not about burning yourself into exhaustion while chasing promotions at a company that fundamentally doesn't care about you as a human being. It's not about defining your entire identity and sense of self-worth exclusively through your job title or the number on your paycheck. That approach isn't focus. That's obsession. That's complete imbalance. That's allowing your career to consume and devour your entire life instead of being one important component of a well-lived existence. Real focus on your career is something entirely different. It's about being genuinely strategic and deeply intentional with how you invest your working hours, so they're actually constructing something meaningful over time. It's about systematically developing valuable skills that will serve you for decades to come, instead of just completing whatever tasks keep you busy today. It's about intelligently positioning yourself for opportunities that truly align with your natural strengths and genuine interests, instead of just accepting whatever randomly comes your way. It's about understanding at a fundamental level that your career is not somehow separate from your life. Your career is a massive part of your life. And if that massive part feels meaningless or unfulfilling, or like you're just going through empty motions, then a huge portion of your entire existence feels exactly that way. You cannot successfully compartmentalize your way out of career dissatisfaction. You cannot maintain a miserable career and somehow still have a genuinely happy life. They're far too interconnected for that to work. Now let me tell you what most people actually do instead of focusing intentionally. They drift aimlessly. They wake up, commute to work, do whatever is minimally expected of them, come home exhausted, and repeat this pattern endlessly. They don't have any clear vision for where they want their career to ultimately go. They don't have any concrete plan for how to get there. They don't actively invest in learning new capabilities or building new skills. They just show up and passively hope things will somehow magically work out in their favor. And then they express genuine confusion about why they feel completely stuck. They wonder why meaningful opportunities never seem to come their way. They question why other people around them seem to advance and grow while they remain frozen in the exact same position year after year. They genuinely don't understand why their career feels like a dead end with no way forward. But there's no real mystery here. The reason they're stuck is simply because they never made any focused effort to move forward. The reason opportunities don't materialize is because they never positioned themselves to receive them. The reason others advance is because those individuals were being intentional about their professional growth, while everyone else was just passively reacting to whatever each day randomly threw at them. I want to talk to you about something that fundamentally changed my entire perspective when I finally understood it: the concept of career capital. Career capital represents the collection of valuable skills, specialized knowledge, meaningful connections, and solid reputation that you accumulate over time. It's what makes you genuinely valuable in the professional marketplace. It's what provides you with real options and choices. It's what gives you actual leverage when you're negotiating for better opportunities. Think of career capital exactly like financial capital. When you have money saved and properly invested, you suddenly have options available to you. You can take calculated risks because you have a financial cushion protecting you. You can be selective and choosy about which opportunities you pursue because you're not operating from a place of desperation. You can negotiate from a position of genuine strength because you don't absolutely need whatever is being offered to you. Career capital functions in precisely the same way. When you've invested significant time in building rare and genuinely valuable skills. When you've carefully developed a strong reputation for consistent excellence in your field. When you've intentionally cultivated meaningful relationships with people who genuinely respect the quality of your work, you have real options. You have meaningful leverage. You have the actual ability to actively shape your career instead of just passively accepting whatever gets handed to you. But here's what the vast majority of people actually do. They spend years, sometimes entire decades, working in jobs that don't build any meaningful career capital whatsoever. They perform work that's completely interchangeable and easily replaceable. They never develop any skills that are particularly rare or especially valuable. They don't build any reputation that extends beyond their immediate team. They don't cultivate any relationships with people who could potentially open important doors for them in the future. And then they express genuine surprise about why they feel so trapped in their current situation. But they feel trapped because they genuinely are trapped. They've spent years not building anything that would actually give them the capability to move forward. They've been simply exchanging their time directly for money, without ever investing any of that time in building capabilities that would make them significantly more valuable over time. Every single hour you spend working falls into one of exactly two categories. It's either actively building your career capital, or it's just basic maintenance. Building career capital means you're genuinely learning something new and valuable, actively developing an important skill, creating something that will meaningfully enhance your professional reputation, or forming a relationship that could potentially benefit you long-term. Maintenance work is simply doing what's minimally required to keep your current job, completing necessary tasks that need to be done but don't actually make you more capable or more valuable over time. Both types of work are necessary to some degree. You obviously can't ignore maintenance entirely because you have real responsibilities and legitimate obligations. But if absolutely all you're doing is maintenance work, if literally none of your working hours are actively building your career capital, you're stuck on a treadmill. You're busy, you're working hard, you're exhausted, but you're not actually going anywhere meaningful. Let me talk to you about the single biggest mistake I consistently see people make with their careers. They systematically optimize for immediate comfort instead of long-term growth. They take whichever job feels easiest in the moment, not the one that will genuinely stretch their capabilities. They actively avoid any assignments that feel particularly challenging or uncomfortable. They deliberately stay in roles they've completely mastered instead of moving into positions where they'd be learning something new. They consistently choose the path of least resistance every single time, because resistance feels uncomfortable and challenging. And I completely understand why people do this. Comfort feels inherently good. Feeling fully competent at what you do feels satisfying. Knowing exactly what you're doing and being able to do it well provides a sense of psychological safety. There's genuine comfort in staying where you already feel confident and capable. But here's the fundamental problem with this approach. Comfort and growth cannot possibly coexist in the same space. They are fundamentally incompatible with each other. If you're genuinely comfortable, you are not growing. If you're actually growing, you are not comfortable. You absolutely cannot have both simultaneously. And in your career, if you're not actively growing, you're professionally dying. Not literally dying, obviously, but your career is stagnating and declining. Because the professional marketplace is constantly evolving and changing. The skills that provide significant value today become progressively less valuable tomorrow. The specialized knowledge that gives you a competitive edge today becomes common baseline knowledge tomorrow. If you're standing completely still, you're actually falling progressively behind relative to everyone else who is actively moving forward. The people who build truly remarkable careers, who create genuine opportunities for themselves, who end up with real options and meaningful leverage and the actual ability to do work they find personally meaningful. Those people consistently choose growth over comfort. They deliberately take the job that frightens them slightly. They actively volunteer for projects they don't yet know how to successfully complete. They intentionally put themselves in situations where they're the least experienced person in the room. It's uncomfortable. It's sometimes genuinely humiliating. There are moments where they feel incompetent and inadequate and like they made a terrible mistake taking on something so challenging. But that discomfort is simply the price you pay for real growth. That feeling of being stretched beyond your current proven capabilities is exactly what genuine development feels like in the moment. Most people spend their entire careers actively running away from that feeling. They interpret discomfort as a clear sign they're in the wrong place, doing the wrong thing. So they retreat back to what feels comfortable and safe, back to what they already know how to do well, back to where they feel competent and in control. And by making that choice, they absolutely guarantee they will never become significantly more capable than they are right now in this moment. They will never develop genuinely new skills, or build meaningful new capacities, or become qualified for opportunities they're not qualified for today. They will stay exactly where they are, getting marginally better at things they already know how to do, while the entire world continues moving forward around them. I want to address something that holds a tremendous number of people back from truly focusing on their careers. The fear of being perceived as too ambitious or overly career-focused. Let me be absolutely clear about this. Anyone who judges you negatively for being intentional and strategic about your professional life is not someone whose opinion should influence any of your decisions. They are either deeply comfortable with their own mediocrity and feel threatened by your visible ambition, or they're stuck in an outdated mindset about work being something you simply endure rather than something you actively build. There is absolutely nothing wrong with being ambitious about your career. There is nothing wrong with wanting to build a professional life you feel genuinely proud of. There is nothing wrong with being strategic about your development and intentional about which opportunities you actively pursue. What is actually wrong is spending multiple decades engaged in work that doesn't fulfill you, doesn't genuinely challenge you, doesn't effectively use your natural talents, and doesn't build toward anything meaningful. What's wrong is wasting the most productive and valuable years of your entire life in a career you simply settled for instead of a career you deliberately built. Being focused on your career doesn't somehow make you a bad person. It doesn't mean you don't care about other important things in your life. It doesn't mean you've lost all perspective on what truly matters. It simply means you understand that your career represents a significant portion of your life, and you want to be intentional about how you invest that portion. You can absolutely be focused on your career and still be a wonderful partner, an involved parent, and a loyal friend. You can care deeply about your professional growth and still care deeply about your relationships and health and other aspects of your life. These things are not mutually exclusive categories. What you genuinely cannot do is completely ignore your career and somehow expect it to become fulfilling entirely on its own. What you cannot do is drift professionally for multiple decades and then feel surprised when you end up somewhere you never wanted to be. Let me talk about something extremely practical now. The critical importance of becoming genuinely excellent at something specific and valuable. One of the biggest mistakes I consistently observe people making is trying to be moderately decent at everything instead of becoming truly excellent at something specific. They spread themselves impossibly thin across too many different skills, too many areas of responsibility, too many competing directions. And as a direct result, they never become genuinely remarkable at anything. Here's what you need to understand about the modern economy and how real value gets created. Being moderately good at many things makes you completely replaceable. There are thousands, possibly millions of people who are moderately competent at the exact same things you're moderately competent at. You have absolutely no leverage, no unique value, nothing that makes you stand out from the crowd. But being genuinely excellent at something specific, something valuable, something that not many people can do at a high level, that makes you rare. That gives you real leverage. That creates genuine opportunities. Most people never develop this kind of focused excellence because it requires saying no to opportunities that would pull them in different directions. It requires genuine patience because excellence takes significant time to build. It requires the discipline to keep going progressively deeper into one specific area instead of constantly chasing whatever new thing catches their attention. So here's what I want you to do. Identify one skill or capability that is genuinely valuable in your field, that naturally aligns with your strengths and interests, and that you could realistically become excellent at with focused, sustained effort. Not 5 things. 1 thing. Then commit to spending focused, intentional time every single week becoming progressively better at that one thing. Read extensively about it. Practice it deliberately. Seek out constructive feedback. Study people who are already excellent at it. Immerse yourself completely in it. Do this consistently for 2 full years. Just 2 years of genuinely focused effort on becoming truly excellent at one specific, valuable thing. And then watch carefully how it transforms your career. Watch how opportunities start actively finding you instead of you constantly searching for them. Watch how your value in the marketplace increases substantially. Watch how you go from being one of many to being one of few who can do what you do at the level you do it. Excellence creates leverage. Leverage creates options. Options create freedom. And freedom in your career, the actual ability to choose work that genuinely matters to you and decline work that doesn't, that's worth pursuing with everything you have. Now I need to talk to you about something that makes some people uncomfortable, but it needs to be said directly. Your salary is not a measure of your worth as a human being, but it absolutely is a measure of the value you're creating in the professional marketplace. Many people have extremely complicated feelings about money and compensation. They feel like caring about salary is somehow shallow or materialistic. They convince themselves that money doesn't really matter, that they're motivated by more noble things. And look, I understand that perspective. Money is definitely not the only thing that matters. It's not even necessarily the most important thing. Purpose matters tremendously. Growth matters. Making a real impact matters. Working with people you genuinely respect matters. Having real autonomy over how you spend your time matters. But money also matters significantly. It matters because it provides genuine security for you and your family. It matters because it gives you real options and choices. It matters because it reflects the value you're creating and capturing. And it matters because being substantially underpaid relative to the value you create is a form of being taken advantage of. If you're genuinely focusing on your career, if you're actively building career capital and developing rare and valuable skills and creating real value through your work, you should be capturing an appropriate portion of that value through your compensation. If you're not, if you're significantly underpaid relative to what you could earn elsewhere with your current capabilities, you're leaving substantial money on the table. And that money represents opportunities, security, and resources you could be using to build the life you actually want. The real way to dramatically increase your earning potential is to become genuinely more valuable, to develop skills that naturally command higher compensation, to position yourself for opportunities that pay at a substantially higher level, to build career capital that makes you genuinely worth more in the marketplace. This is why focusing intentionally on your career is so important. When you focus on building valuable skills, on doing work that enhances your reputation, on developing expertise in areas where expertise is rare and valuable, your compensation naturally increases over time. Not because you're demanding more aggressively, but because you're genuinely worth more. Let me close with an actionable framework for actually implementing what we've discussed. Because understanding these concepts intellectually is one thing, but actually focusing on your career in a way that creates real transformation is something else entirely. First, get absolutely clear on where you actually want your career to go. Not where it's currently heading by default, but where you genuinely want it to go. What kind of work do you want to be doing 5 years from now? What level of responsibility and autonomy do you want to have? What kind of impact do you want to be creating? What do you want to be known for professionally? Write this vision down with specificity. Not vague statements like "I want to be successful," but concrete descriptions like "I want to be leading a product team at a company, creating solutions I'm genuinely proud of," or whatever your actual vision is. Second, honestly assess where you are right now relative to that vision. What's the real gap? What skills do you need to develop? What experience do you need to gain? What relationships do you need to build? What reputation do you need to establish? Be brutally honest about this assessment. Don't inflate your current capabilities or minimize the gap. The clearer you are about where you actually are, the better you can plan how to get where you want to go. Third, identify the 3 to 5 most important things you need to focus on to close that gap. Not 20 scattered things. 3 to 5 priorities that, if you made significant progress on them over the next year, would dramatically move you toward your vision. Fourth, build these priorities into your weekly schedule as protected time. Block time for them. Treat them like unmovable appointments. If building expertise in a specific area is a priority, schedule time every single week to work on it. If building relationships is a priority, schedule time for reaching out and having meaningful conversations. This is where most people fail completely. They have goals and even know what they need to do, but they never actually make time for it. They're always too consumed with urgent demands to invest in building their future capabilities. You have to protect this time. It's not optional. It's not something you do if you happen to have extra time. It's a scheduled, protected part of your week because your career development is important enough to schedule. Finally, track your progress monthly. Review what you've actually accomplished toward your priorities. Are you making meaningful progress? If not, why not? What needs to change? Your career is one of the most significant aspects of your entire life. It's not the only thing that matters, but it matters enormously. It shapes your daily experience, your financial security, your sense of purpose, your identity, the opportunities available to you and your family. And yet most people spend more time planning a vacation than they spend planning their careers. They just let it happen randomly. They react to whatever opportunities present themselves. They drift from one role to the next without any larger vision or intention. Don't let that be you. Don't spend the next 20 or 30 years drifting aimlessly. Don't waste the most productive period of your life just reacting to whatever comes your way. Focus on your career with intention. Be strategic about it. Build career capital systematically. Pursue growth over comfort. Develop expertise in something valuable. Do work that feels meaningful. Stay adaptable and keep learning. It's not easy. It requires discipline and intention and sometimes uncomfortable choices. But the alternative is so much worse. The alternative is looking back with deep regret at all the potential you never realized, all the opportunities you never pursued, all the growth you never pushed yourself toward. You have one career, one chance to build something you're genuinely proud of, one opportunity to discover what you're actually capable of achieving when you're fully focused and committed. Don't waste it. Focus on your career. Build something remarkable. Become someone you're proud of. Create opportunities for yourself. And watch how it transforms not just your work, but your entire life. The work is waiting. Your future is waiting. The person you're capable of becoming is waiting. Go build it.